cozy episode for a cozy topic. That's probably why we're doing cozy magic.
Hello, welcome to the Alchemists Inkwell.
Guess what the topic is today?
Cozy magic.
This is your spiritual podcast for grounded people. And honestly, what is more grounding than coziness, right? And
Yeah.
good Lord, this, we've been talking about the Uranus North Node conjunction, and then Mars kind of exacerbated it a while ago. Uranus, because it likes to go to the extreme, and because the North Node and Uranus are just chilling real close to each other right now, that is a good equation that leads to burnout. Because even too much, even a lot of excitement can make you need to have like a come down and a relaxation. So today we want to talk about cozy magic, ways to recuperate that are magical.
Because, I'm just going to say it again, like, it is definitely, we were like, what should we talk about? And both of us kind of were like, can we just talk about like how to feel better? It's just the root of it.
Yeah.
Basically what's happening, and like on a core level, I just want to talk to this a little bit because a lot of people are going through a spiritual reawakening, probably post 2020. This has kind of come to the forefront again, but it's feeling a little stagnant of like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff we could do. There's so many ways to bring this out, but how do we do this in a way that feels aligned? It feels comfortable and it feels fun, because the comfort and the fun is so necessary right now, especially the comfort, and that cozy magic element is super duper important. So we wanted to talk to different ways to do magical things that just feel comfortable and laid back and chill, and pretty much are just doing things you already do, but making them magical.
Yes.
In a way that is concrete enough where you'll actually see development in yourself, and it's not just like, this will like, charge your crystals. It's not so much that element. It's more of like, hey, this is actually going to make a concrete difference in your life and in your space, but it's done in a way of you just incorporating it into what you already do. Because to Krista's point, which we were talking about this before the call, magic should feel like everyday life. That's how it should, that's what we're striving to get to. That's how it should feel. And that's where we're kind of going. And we're hoping this episode helps with that.
Yeah. I actually believe to my core that everyday life is magic. We have just made it hard.
Yeah.
And that like, why did we do that? I have my thoughts, but the reason is there is no good reason. And it's totally okay, especially with the world we are living in now, the world we are trying to bring forth. Another topic for another day, Emily, is how it feels like the healers of the world, those of us that are like going around trying to make it a better place, we're working on a less like, we're going to heal the entire collective, and more of like, we're going to travel to places where we're needed and heal these little groups, and how they're becoming a little bit more nomadic in that space. And that becomes a cozier sense of magic too. You have that kitchen witch aesthetic of like, I make this thing, it helps this person, one person at a time. And that way I'm less stressed, but I'm still making a big difference. So you can know that you are doing that. And I really do think that's a good episode topic that we might touch on more when we have more time for it. But before you get into that, even taking on that responsibility, you need to know what it's like to create your own energy. You can't be giving off of yourself all the time. You have to be able to say, this is who I am. This is how I recharge. You recharge your phone every day, and you're not going to let yourself recharge. Right. This is something we need to think about.
Absolutely. And it's kind of to talk about it in like a book form, because I think this like helps. It's the difference between doing reading a high fantasy and reading a cozy fantasy.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And cozy fantasies, we've recommended some of them on here before, but just to give you an idea or energy, House in the Cerulean Sea, cozy fantasy is all heck. This is Ever After.
Yeah.
Cozy fantasy. Legends and Lattes, which I haven't read, but it's all over my For You page, is very much like just a fantasy cafe. It's just little things like that. A Howl's Moving Castle, cozy fantasy. Just things that aren't, the stakes are low. Even if the stakes are high, air quotes, like for the characters, the reading of it is a low stakes. And that's what we're trying to get with this magical energy, is that. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. There's even this huge movement going on right now about like cozy gaming. Animal Crossing is your cozy game.
100%.
Cozy Grove is a cozy game. Spiritfarer, very similar to Cozy Grove. I even find one recently for anybody who's looking for also games, because there's stories too. Breath of the Wild, the Legend of Zelda version. Heck yes, that can be a cozy game. And it can be the high fantasy version. It gets to do both depending on how you're feeling. And also Genshin Impact is a lovely little like cozy game for a lot of it. And then you get some higher peaks. So you kind of get to choose your own feeling on those, which I think is a very high vibe situation.
Yeah. Another good one is Ori, ORI. Those are very cozy, very, very cozy games there. I like, this is an older game, and I don't even think it's on Switch or anything. I think it pretty much is only on like PlayStation, but it's Dungeon Crashers.
Okay. I remember Dungeon Crashers. Yes. Yeah.
Very cozy, very fun. Not a lot of story, but you get a little pet that follows you around and does certain magical things, and it's just really colorful and relaxed too. So that one's a great one. But yeah, just that kind of energy. If anyone here can relate to any of those things, like it's that sort of, you could cook in the game. You know, you can just chill, and there's a lot of different options for that out there. So on the cozy magic stuff too, Krista and I believe very heavily in the fact that entertainment and what we absorb is really helpful to not only develop your psychic and spiritual abilities, but to heal in a lot of ways. But there's ways that you can leverage that. And we've obviously recommended already, even on just this particular podcast, different media you can consume, different entertainment you can consume. But I always want to apply like exercises to it so that you can actually apply it to your life more concretely, because that is huge. And when I say exercises, I don't necessarily mean like, okay, now you need to do this whole worksheet about this. But no, if you read a profound sentence and you think about it for a while afterwards of how that applies to your life, that is in and of itself an exercise that you're doing in your spiritual growth and development. If you play a game and in the game you can do different things that are spiritual or magical or beautiful, how can you do those things in your day-to-day life? Like literally taking it and being like, okay, well, if the world is actually magic and we've made it hard, how could I make it magic again? What can I do from this game? What element of this game can I bring into my day-to-day life? The quickness that this shifts your vibration and makes you feel better, I can't even fully communicate, because it is so it's so impactful and so immediate on such a deep level.
And on another note, it's when you find yourself in something that feels hard, you can ask yourself, where is the magic in this? Because there is magic in it. There's something going on. And if there isn't, then there's a way to bring out the magic in it. And, you know, two cozy magic things that I do every day, just off the bat, and I don't even think about it. Cooking, baking, even just assembling a meal is magic. It's alchemy, you guys. Well, and you know, in a sense, it's alchemy, bringing things together to make.
You're not trying to turn your food to gold.
No,
that's not what we're doing.
Wouldn't that be neat? But when you're creating something, knowing that this ingredient helps with this, and I'm putting that into my space and into my energy. This ingredient helps with this. You're concocting something that is going to do your energy and your body good. So that is a very cozy magic. And then you're kind of appreciating the spirits of those things that go into it as well. You know, everything, as Emily has brought up, and I totally agree with, everything is inspirited and has a consciousness to it. And one energy can become part of another energy, and it's not like you're killing it or anything. So don't feel bad if you're using herbs and then you eat them and they have like a spirit to them. They are speaking through you, and that transmutes more than anything. Another really great technique that I do literally every morning. First thing I do when I'm done with like my morning routine and all of the things that I do on that space is I come upstairs, I go into my little sanctuary space, I pull a card that I need for that day, whatever it is, just like, let me know what I need. I look at it and meditate on it, write down what it means, write down what I think it could contribute to, and then give myself a little affirmation. That is my little guidepost for the day. And it, even today, just 3 times something has come up and it's like, yes, but I saw this coming. That in tandem with my transits, I'm like fully prepared to embrace whatever comes for me, even if it's not something that can be anticipated. And I say for me, not like it's coming for me, but coming for me to receive.
Gift.
Very important. Yeah.
Yeah. I speak intentions into my water bottle, and it's as simple as saying is like, I am strong. I am brave. I am magical today. Like that simple thing, like you can program the energy of that so intensely. And with your tea or with your coffee, water is a magical thing. We are made of water. Water also, in one droplet of water, there's a terabyte of memory. It's been proven scientifically. And like that is mind blowing in and of itself. They don't know how to take advantage of it yet, which is good. but we can, and we can talk to it and do that. And there is people who have dedicated their entire life of understanding the spiritual components of water and how to navigate those and make those important to us. But water is a charged activated substance. The more you charge it, the more benefit you're going to get. And you're literally going to absorb the energy that you speak into it, into your physical being, which is mind blowing and so neat. And you can do that so simply. It doesn't require a lot of energy and effort, and it can feel really cozy. If you literally just want your life to feel more magical, just like over your water bottle, your emotional support water bottle, as many of us have, I know I do, just speak into it like magic, 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 and then just drink. You'll get some. It's magical.
Yeah.
It's that simple and that easy to do these things that incorporate more of making your life a fantasy as opposed to, of a realistic fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to recommend also like shows or movies or things you can watch. And we've talked on this before. And what would be good exercises to do post watching those so that you can incorporate some of that fun kind of fantasy elements. If you're needing disassociation and magic, this is where we're at. And everyone is kind of needing that. We're reaching this point where the news has become such a tire fire that like it's just bombarding us on a day-to-day basis. And that in and of itself is overwhelming. And the problem with it is in today's society, disconnecting from that is nearly impossible because you never know, like even if you put your phone down, you didn't watch television, whatever, your neighbor's going to come over and talk to you about it. Like it's something you can't necessarily shut out at this point. It's going to get its ways in, which is in ways good. We want to be informed about the world, but it's also leading to severe burnout, especially in a magical, spiritual sense. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. And one easy way to think about it is, I actually wrote this in Writing the High Vibe Heroes Journey. You can tell which books or which TV shows or which forms of entertainment are the most high vibe because they have the fandoms that do fan art. They have the fandoms that do fan fiction. They have these people who are like, I need to live in this world more than it's actually given me, not because it didn't give me enough, but because my mind is still expanding with it. So if you find things, like if you notice when you're on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever, and like all of this fan fiction is popping up and it's very appealing to you, that's probably something that you would enjoy as well. I find video games and books and TV shows like this all the time. And I'm never disappointed because I really just go towards those things. And it's not childish. It's light. It's light, it's expansive, it's high energy, and it's rest in an entertainment.
Also, if something feels childish, it's probably high vibration because we've been programmed to believe that being childish and childlike is a negative thing when it is not. That is when we are the most free and aligned and etc.
Which is so counterintuitive.
Yeah, right.
Because even the Bible says you should be like the little children. Okay, then I'm going to watch My Little Pony.
I
don't
love
stop
My
me.
Little Pony. That is one of my favorite like decompression shows. The kids get annoyed with me. My children get annoyed with me because I'm like, let's watch My Little Pony. And they're like, we don't want to, Mom. I'm like, I don't care. Like that's what we're watching today. Because it's such a good decompression show. There's so much magic there, the friendship thing. For sure.
Well, and because in situations, I don't know if you've experienced this too, but you have those tropey situations where when the stage is set for them, I sit there and I'm like, please don't put me through this. Please don't do the typical thing. I don't want to feel this. I get secondhand embarrassment for movies and things so much. And then you get things like My Little Pony or high vibe things where they take that situation and then handle it in an emotionally mature way. And I could cry. I get so happy. There's a lot of anime that are, doing that now. There's a lot of shows that are like, hey, let's communicate in a nice way. Let's not get mad and like shut someone out and ditch them and make 20 minutes of unnecessary parts of this movie where they're sad about it. Let's handle something together and come together over something. Or if we have a grievance, let's work through it rather than get angry and blow up at each other. My gosh, like it's so healing to be able to watch someone handle something and just to know that I'm not the only one who wishes things were like that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I have comfort animes for that reason exclusively. One that comes to mind immediately is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. It does every fantasy trope, but at the end of every episode, you feel good. You're never left hanging. Not a single time is something unresolved at the end of it where you're like, oh no, like you are happy, you feel good with how the outcome of everything keeps getting better. period. It's just magical and wonderful, and it's written so well in that space. Like, genuinely, I love it so deeply. Yeah, because of that exact thing. It's like, let's take all of these tropes where you're like, oh, this bad thing's gonna happen, I've seen it and I don't want it to happen, and then it's like, guess what, it doesn't. You're like, oh, okay.
Who knew? There's like a door number 2 that you can take. Yay.
Mhm. Let's make it simple. We've been watching One Piece, which I know it's a 1,000 episode show. It is the best work of fiction I have ever witnessed. The writing is absolutely mind-blowingly incredible, and I cannot stress enough how magnificent this piece of work is. There is nothing that even compares. I've never seen it in book world. The only person I think that could maybe do something in fantasy as good as what Oda has done in One Piece would be Brandon Sanderson, and he hasn't done it yet, to give you perspective of how well done this is. I know it's a long time investment, so I'm not saying that you have to do it, but it's really casual to watch and it's very healing. And so if you're like, I don't mind a long commitment and you really want to get into that kind of energy, it's so incredibly high vibration. I cannot say it enough. It's magnificent. It really is. It's a long commitment though, and I'm going to honor that. But like, if you want something that's just casual, it's kind of fun to watch, you're like, how do I get into this? It's really, really good.
Yeah. Another one is Avatar: The Last Airbender in particular. Legend of Korra is good, but that gets very much into the world rather than the characters, so it's a little bit less cozy. The Dragon Prince is another good one by one of the same creators. Yeah. So you just
Hilda
have like,
is really good.
yeah.
It's a kids show, like very much a kids show, but it is so good. It's so cute. It's a British fantasy about a world with trolls.
I mean, how can you go
that
wrong,
are made
right?
of rocks, and it's so cute. And there's giants and woodmen and magical crows and someone who controls the weather. Like, it's just cute things.
Yeah. I even enjoyed there's Troll Hunters that you can watch on Netflix, and then there's some series alongside it that they all kind of wind together. Boy, did I have fun going through all of those. At first the animation didn't sell me because I'm an aesthetic kind of person, but once I got into the story a little bit, it was like, okay, I'm not as bothered, and I think the animation improved a little bit too.
Also, there's a How to Train Your Dragon show that is actually canon for the How to Train Your Dragon universe, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I love that one too. So at the end of watching all of these, even if you watch just one episode, think about the most magical element of whatever that episode was. What came off as the most magical thing to you? And that doesn't necessarily have to be the magic. And I always want to put that in perspective, because people are like, okay, well, she levitated to this thing, or like they cast this thing, or there was he stretched super big, or whatever it is. That's not what we're talking about. If the most magical element was the fact that this character forgave that character without a second thought, wonderful. It's whatever feels the most magical and impactful for you from that episode or from that film. And just sit there and sit with it for a second, because that's the stuff that you can actually find ways to apply to your everyday life. And I do recommend doing channeled writing in this space. If you can sit down and you can take a second and just let yourself word vomit on the page of how you can even start right at the question at the top of like, how could I apply this insert magical element here to my day-to-day life? And then just like let yourself go free with it. You'll be astonished with how creative you get with it. It's also going to be really fun and motivating, because you're going to be excited about the fact that you figured out this problem basically, or this puzzle that you can now solve, and you have the solution right there. And it's going to make you feel more connected, and it's going to help you feel more magical. And that is the biggest tool to get insight on how to grow. It's mind-blowing and yet so simple at the same time.
Yeah. And it's important to do your cozy magic routine or rhythm or whatever, because the rest of the world hasn't caught on with this yet. So you're going to go out in the world and it's going to be like, why can't we all just get along? And you might be able to be the one who makes that difference in those situations where you create a space for things to go well, because you've seen how it works, you know what it feels like, and now you can create the anchor for it in the real world. However, you're still going to need to recover. Just like when you go for a run, you need to come back and sit down for a while. So it's okay that you need to recover from being out in the world where you've been doing some good work and doing some transformative work with the environment that you're in. That's fine. And it's great. And give yourself credit for that, and reward yourself with the cozy part of knowing that like, this is what's really real, is this cozy space. And now you can carry that out with you, because it's training at the same time. Just don't let it feel exhausting.
It's what it is, though. It's
Mhm.
training,
It's
basically, at the
research.
core of it. That's what you're doing. You're
Yep.
figuring it out. And that's good. That's
Yep.
the
And
whole
you're
goal.
processing. One of the things that too many healers have in common is that we have trauma. And so we have to allow ourselves to process these feelings that are not fun to feel. And the whole thing about high vibe fiction or high vibe storytelling that we really talk about with our clients, and just in the spaces that we like to talk about even on TikTok, is that high vibe aspect helps you to have an analog of processing those feelings in a safe way.
Mhm.
It's a situation similar enough, but not to the point of triggering, that helps you understand and reframe something. So it really does become almost its own belief work.
Yeah. Another way of really doing powerful, cozy magic, draw.
Mm,
Even if you're not good at it, even if it's just you're editing a bunch of images together, but you have to like erase this here, move it, like that is the same energy as drawing. If it's creating a fantasy cover for something or anything like that, that kind of element. If you're just building stuff on Canva, it's that energy of putting it together with intention. And it's a really cozy, magical thing to do. Even if you're just drawing a little stick figure on your little notepad or whatever, and you know that the stick figure represents something, that is in itself like kind of sigil work, but
mhm,
it's also incorporating like really magical elements in a visual representation of something. And there's something so deeply concrete about doing that, even if it's just a mindless doodle. If you ever notice that when you're in like high school, whatever, if you doodled on the edges of your pages because that made you feel more relaxed or whatever, or bored, if you were bored and that's what you had to do, use that energy, but this time with intention.
mhm.
It's another really cozy form. Especially if you have a specific thing you're working towards, draw a picture for it. I know that sounds odd. A lot of times you're like, what do you mean? Draw me having it? No, it could literally be like a picture of a sunflower, but this represents you getting a new house. Doesn't matter,
Mhm.
manifestation wise, or if you're working on expanding your psychic abilities, or if there's something that you're healing that you can't seem to heal through, just draw a picture that represents you healed. Just put it in an image. Doesn't have to be good. You never have to show anyone, but don't judge yourself. Just let it flow out. Even if it's just a swirly whirly, twirly whirly melty thing, that's fine. Like it doesn't have to be an actual image. It's just you making something that looks and feels cool with the intention that it represents something.
Mhm. And you can do the same thing with a word that feels right, or a song that feels right. Just
Mm-hmm,
playing this song whenever you want to feel that this is possible.
mm-hmm,
There's a bajillion things that you can do, even singing, just singing
mm-hmm,
gibberish or any tune that comes to mind and just letting it out. You wouldn't believe what that does for you. And
mm-hmm.
it's just fun to walk. I will literally just walk around my house when I have it to myself and just sing random stuff. And it feels great. Find the place that echoes the best in your house, which is usually a bathroom, and just let it out. It's so nice.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that fully. Um, I sing my kids to sleep every night. So
Mhm.
like they get a song before bed. So that's always like my singing time. Which is always super fun because I get to ask them like, what do you want to hear? What song? Because we don't have a specific like bedtime song and they get to pick and it's just whatever random thing because that's what they need to do too. And they'll sing along with me and it's like a healing, releasing thing. So yeah, singing in the car, whatever it is. Also on the drawing thing too. One way it's like in a lot of witchcraft kind of practices is you write out the sentence of what you want and then you take all the letters and combine them into one image. That's a very simple way to draw something that's charged with the energy of that word.
Mhm.
um, Create a symbol with it. You can put it under your pillow. This is a weird way of putting it, but it's like literally put it under your pillow and absorb that energy of it as you sleep, or put it next to your bed. And it's going to make a lot of really magical stuff happen very simply. I also cannot stress enough doing simple little things like organizing a little space or
Mhm.
making a little tiny altar thing or going outside and like making a little fairy garden. Anything like that is so magical and so cozy, and it's just like that nesting feeling, and that is going to make you feel more confident, safe, and comfortable, which is going to make everything around you more safe and comfortable and more magical.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so funny. Throughout my entire life, anytime I have moved somewhere or even like gone to camp for a couple days, my favorite part was like, let me get to my room and unpack my stuff. And I'm a Taurus. I get it. Taurus sun loves to be able to just nest in my own little space. But like, even if it was just my sleeping bag and setting up a stuffy on it, that is such an anchoring, nice reset that if you can just go and like set up a little space and then move into something else, even if it's just your one space of sanity in the entire house, have that little space, have that little corner that's just your little thing. And that's all you have to look at is this nice, whatever kind of organization or organized chaos appeals to you. It's your vibe.
It's so funny. I'm a Libra rising. Don't care about any of that. Like I'm a maximalist. There's chaos everywhere and I love that. It's how I thrive. Like if I go to a hotel room and I have a bag or a thing and I don't unpack it at all, it's just going to become a volcano of clothing in the matter of an hour or two. And there we are. It's just it for me. But that's my comfort too. So like I acknowledge and accept that wholly, where my sweet darling husband is the most organized person when it comes to like packing things and like taking stuff out, and his bag's always nicely folded and I'm like, I don't know where my socks are, I'll just take everything out and put back in, and that kind of energy. But that's okay too. I honor that with intention because I know that's just how I feel most comfortable. If I have to keep everything in order, I'm not going to feel most comfortable. Or settle or nest in, like it doesn't work for me for some reason. Making little gardens and stuff around the house, that sort of thing, totally fine. I'm good with that. Grabbing crystals and putting them on shelves. My bookshelves are fun. Like I love my bookshelves because they look aesthetically pleasing to me, which is quote for chaos, but that's okay.
Well, and even just going in and redecorating a space or rearranging a space to shake up the energy in there and loosen it up is a total
I've been getting a huge push to clean the energy of my house. And I think a lot of people have, like, let's clear. Yeah.
Mercury came into Virgo. I said to my husband last week, just watch, Mercury's coming into Virgo soon or this week. And then the sun will be there a little bit later. You're going to start seeing pumpkin spice lattes. You're going to start seeing fall. And like clockwork, people are like, oh, it's time to get to the cozy segment because Virgo is now activated. Mercury is not only domicile, but exalted in Virgo. So it's very Virgoan, and Virgo likes to be organized, but it's also mutable. So it's this really cool blend of earth, the organization, but mutability of being able to keep things different and shake them up. Mutable, another word, is movable. So something that is very flexible. So Virgo is like, if my Taurus sun met your Libra rising, that's what you'd have. The earth mixed with the qualities of mutability, even though Libra is cardinal. I know that, you guys, but it's that air aspect coming in.
Yeah. Yep. That's how it feels for sure. I like, and it's not like I need to clean my house. I need to clean the energy. I need to clear things. I need to move the energy. And I will always say, like, if someone's feeling stagnant, when was the last time you moved a piece of furniture in a room?
Yeah. Or opened a window.
Like if you're feeling stagnant, what can you move? Like physically move in your space. Please move something. Even if it's just moving your jewelry box from one side of your dresser to the other side of your dresser and just switching up, like move something physically if you're feeling stagnant. It helps so much.
Yeah.
Every time I can't rearrange anything in your house. Yes, you can. You can rearrange something in your house can rearrange. Redo your mantle. Like it doesn't have to be huge at all.
We redo our living room a lot. Like every time you come here, I feel like we have a different setup for the living room.
Correct. And I'm there every 4 months and it's different. It's not like it's a long time in between. But yes, you're correct. Every time I go, I'm like, oh, this is new. Oh, your computers are here now. But I love it. Another really cool way, and I just want to highlight this really quickly. Cosplaying is such a powerful, magical thing to do. Even if you're like, I'm going to put on a beautiful dress today and a crown and walk around my house and I'm going to feel like that is such a magical action to do. Or cosplaying a favorite character, building something that is connected to them, or even just buying a shirt that is the same as theirs and just wearing. There's just deep magic in that energy. And I do want to say it's different than like Halloween costume.
Oh yeah.
It's intentional. Like you wouldn't wear a Halloween costume to a con. You would wear a cosplay to a con, and that's the energy. It's like a crafting of this intentionally to feel like that character, to feel like that person, to feel like you're going to a Ren fair. That's the energy you're calling in. Yeah.
It's the embodiment of whatever feeling that character gives you and your permission to step into that as well. Like the other day, Emily knows this because I sent a picture, but my Books, Gowns, and Crowns gown came in. I know. And I already had my crown. And so I had to try the dress on, and it's like this cool crop piece with a long thing, and I might wear a blazer with it. And so I had to try it on, and then I got the crown because it fit and I was really excited
Yeah.
about that. And I put the crown on, and it's a swishy skirt, which is always fun. And then I had to run because it's got a little bit of a train, so you have to run and let the train flap behind you, obviously.
Mhm.
And it was just, you look at yourself in the mirror and say, how powerful do I feel in this Scorpio
Mhm.
stuff all over the place? So I like the feeling of being empowered. Um, and so it was like, how empowered does this make me feel? And is there jewelry I want to add to it? Is there something else I want to add to it? And you can do this with your daily outfit as well. Jewelry can be a part of your, like, you say this like Disney bounding, right? It's just going
Mhm.
out in normal clothes that are kind of like cosplay. How can you bound in your normal life to be able to feel
Mhm.
what you want to feel?
Yeah. A while ago, I was like, I want to dress every day like a hobbit. So here I am.
Mhm.
Like if Gandalf were to come through my door and be like, let's go on an adventure, I'd be like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
ready.
ready. Let me grab
It's
my hip sack and
yeah,
here we
it's
go.
got pockets. We're good.
Uh-huh. And that's a very simple switch to make. You can even do it with your current wardrobe and just be like, oh, how
Mhm.
can I layer this? Or how can I
Yeah.
move this to here? Or what can, oh, I haven't worn that dress in a while. I'm going to wear it today. Why? Because I'm going to be too fancy when I go to the grocery store. Who cares?
Mhm.
Those like energy things that make you feel good. Or I'm going to go sit in a park and read a book dressed as this because I want to.
Yeah.
I want a little kid to walk by and point and be like, look, a fairy. Like, yes, that's perfect.
Yeah. It was my favorite thing about working at Disney was my days off. I would go to the parks just in normal wear, but
Hmm.
I would be standing outside waiting for my friends, and little kids would walk by and be like, "Is that one of the princesses?" And I'd be like, "You darn right it is." Like I had longer hair at the time and like swoopy bangs, and the fact that a kid in a magical space saw me and thought that's part of the magic, they're part of the magic.
Hmm.
Thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, I am happy to be part of the magic even on my day off. That was fantastic.
My last little tip too, and I love that because that's totally correlates to what I was going to say. If you're having a day where you're struggling to see any sort of magic, look small. Look at the
Yeah.
small things. It brings the magic back so intensely. You
Mhm.
know, is there a little, do you find a little stone that looks like a heart? Or do the cracks in the sidewalk form a picture? Is there a ladybug doing something? Did you, you know, if the sunlight comes through your window, do the dust particles sparkle? Like just little tiny things like that. And you're going to be like, oh, right, there's magic. That's right. And it
Mhm.
just reminds you. So if you're having one of those days, just look small, just look as small as you can. And you'll see stuff that just contributes to the magical stuff in your life.
And another thing that you can do is just lay down and start visualizing
Hmm.
and, let yourself wander, let your imagination run wild. Or you can take like a really fun little workshop with an amazing TikTok person that you probably already follow. I'm going to throw this one over to
Oh, I
Emily.
forgot. I forgot I was going to plug that. Yeah. Thank you. So I'm going to start hosting workshops, individual workshops with me. It's a learn from me opportunity. And it's definitely, each one of them is a very, very niche. The first one I'm doing is on past lives. So if you've ever been interested in learning how to channel past lives, tune into past lives, and any information about past lives, they're very small batch, which means that at most I'll have 15 tickets available for these. They're very, very small. Work with me. It's basically an hour-long workshop with a 30-minute plus Q&A session directly with me in that small group. You'll also get a recording of it, but they're for people who want to go deeper. They're for people who want to go to the next level. And like I said, I'm probably never going to repeat topics, or if I do, it's going to be very few and far between. But I'm trying to do one maybe once a month, maybe once every couple months. That is very specific, very niche, very more in depth. So like I have some coming up that's going to be like astral projection and like actual mediumship stuff, like kind of mediumship 102, right? People who already understand their channeling and kind of going from there. But this is, yeah, it's not necessarily beginning level stuff. It's kind of like intermediate level stuff, or for people who, if you are starting, you want to go really deep right away. That's how you lean. This is what it's for. So tickets and stuff are going to go on sale for that. Probably by the time this airs, they'll be on sale. So check those out. Also check out, my TikTok or social media for more information in those spaces. But yeah, I'm going to start doing those because I want to talk about more magical stuff in a more in-depth way. And
Mhm.
currently I don't do that so much. And I want to offer educational spaces. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. I feel like these are really great progressions from your courses that you do. Like
Yeah.
the actual the something your magic. Mastering Your Magic course, I think is what it's called. But you have those 2 courses and they're really great and they create an amazing foundation. And then these are like, what's sparking your interest and how can I help you with it? I think that's so cool. So very cozy magic working with Emily.
And, it's also a growth from the reading space too. It's not necessarily, I'm not doing readings in these. It's more like, how can you develop your abilities? It's a teach a man to fish sort of energy with it. With my development
your
method.
spiritual literacy.
Right. With my unique development methods, which are very different than anyone's out there. I've done a lot of reading and research on a lot of other methods of doing stuff and kind of incorporated and tried them out. And this is what I've kind of developed. So it's a lot of education components in that space as well. So thank you for wanting me to plug that, Krista. I really appreciate that.
You deserve it.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all of you for listening. Is there any major astrology thing you want to talk over in just our last minute here?
Venus is ingressing into Leo and the sun is opposing Saturn. There's more details on that in my monthly astrology overview, which is a lot shorter now and comes with a free PDF that you can download. So anything you want to hear about that, check that out. And also these I will be covering as they happen on my TikTok in the skits with the explanations. So Venus coming into Leo is pretty funny this week. So I kind of recommend it. But yeah, I think we're all set. It's a quieter week a little bit.
Good.
Yeah, we could use
it's a cozy week for cozy magic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for listening. We hope that you take all of our advice and that you go make some magic. I don't know.
I didn't start on 2. I didn't.
Okay.
I forgot.
Should we do it again? We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again.
We figured this out.
Okay, ready? 1.
Go make some magic.
Go make some magic.
For real?
I think you get it
so
better.
Awkward for me. Oh my gosh. But it works. We did it.
I could say it on 4 if you want to still say it on. Anyway, we're going.
No. I'm good with 2.